Okay, let's try this again. Third time's a charm, but yeah, I'm doing my laundry right now. Basically, I'm drying it, so it made a noise that kind of threw me off a little bit. But yeah, as I was saying originally, the book series you see here, I've actually talked about it before many years ago, and you all going to be watching this on June 20th, on the Monday, on the morning, I should say, of June 20th, because of course it's the summer break season, and things happen for a reason. But anyway, though, yeah, this book series here was created to be more for the older audience, if you will. And what I mean by the older audience, I'm talking like at the most uh, fourth, those that are going into, like, let's say the fourth, mainly I would say more like the fifth grade to sophomore year in high school. That's what these um, that's what these stories were meant for. These books were meant for, and some of them did get adapted into episodes for the PBS interpretation of the Berenstain Bears, and some of the stories from the classic show as well, from the classic '80s version of the Berenstain Bears on CBS Saturday mornings, got one or two, at least maybe one, adaptation, if you will. Here, not totally scene for scene, but basically sort of inspired by, if you will, in title and everything. But yeah, basically again, these were meant for the more older demographic. In fact, I think they even acknowledge, what the age range is here. It's somewhere, and you can see it's in the mid '90s as well, early to mid. Basically, these ran from about the early, I would say early to late '90s, I believe, almost. No, actually, they ran for about the I would say about early mid '90s, about '94, '95, or actually '93 to about 2000, and they were meant for basically, like I said, the age range. In fact, I think I even said it right there. Hold on, let me see. No, that's just different. But basically, it's meant for an age range of, essentially kids that would go from high school to, they would go from high school to not high school, but would go from fourth grade, fifth grade to at least fresh sophomores in high school. But anyway, that's what the series was, and I thought it was really interesting. And again, some of them, were adapted. Not all of them, but some were, and everything. So I wanted to show you what these were, how many I have. I mean, basically, I have the entire series. It took me a while. I started collecting these when I lived in Lawrence, Kansas. I didn't collect them when I lived in Oskaloosa. I collected them more in Lawrence, and then I think I got like the remaining few that I needed when I moved back out here to Patterson and Newman. So basically, it took me a while, but I got them all and everything. And I thought they're really good, and I think they're really good. And I think they're really good when when you read through them. The stories, I think, are great interpretations of the characters, especially meant for the older audience and everything. And you could definitely feel like what they were trying to do with Mike Berenstain. Mike actually was behind this. Mike Berenstain was behind this, and you can definitely tell that his idea was to even though they were still like in the fifth grade, fifth grade, fourth grade, if you will. He was trying to portray them more like teens. In fact, one of the stories is called the Teen Rock Cafe. So, you know, I think that's what he wanted to do here. He wanted to basically age them up from being like the third, fourth graders to basically being like seventh graders, seventh to ninth graders. Mainly, if you want, mainly it all depends on how you look at it. But I would say mainly around seventh to ninth grade they were being portrayed as here, just based on the stories. But which ones do I have here? Well, like I said, I have most of them. I have a majority of them. So here we have the Freaky Fun House and everything. We have the Freaky Fun House, and this features sister, brother, cousin Fred, and Bonnie. Bonnie was introduced in the series. I'll show you the book that she was introduced in. She was introduced in the series as a love interest for brother, and so that should tell you exactly what direction they wanted to go in with the story series. Kind of think like Max, and kind of think Roxanne with Max and everything. Kind of think Roxanne with Max in a Goofy movie, which is ironic because this came out the year the Goofy movie came out. But yeah, we have Freaky Funhouse, which I thought was kind of cool. Then we have Wheelchair Commando, which is another good one. This is one of the earlier ones because you could tell by the back and everything. And I think the year is, yeah, 93, 1993 and everything. So you could tell by the year as to when these came out. And then here's the reading level that says 2.5. So basically, this was like around, well, it doesn't have the reading level here, but it had it here. But this was meant for like I said, around the fourth grade, fifth graders and all that. Maybe second, but mostly fourth, fifth, if you will. But the way they were portrayed in the story, again, it's up for interpretation. So it's mainly like they could have been portrayed as as teens and all that, like in the sixth, seventh, eighth grade. It's basically the reason I think this was made as well is kind of to kind of bleed. I wouldn't say bleed in, but basically kind of hop on that train of, young kids at that time in that age range of fourth, fifth, sixth grade, third grade, but mostly fourth to sixth, seventh at most, getting into more of the teen stuff. So that's what this was made for. And again, I think the age range from a grade perspective was fourth to about ninth grade, maybe sophomore, 10th grade at most. But here we have Wheelchair Commando, really, really underestimated and everything. It introduces the character of Harry into this and all that. So it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool story. It's got a good story. It got a good message here. Here we have Love Match. This introduces us to a couple new characters and everything. This introduces us to Milton and Big Bertha, and basically they are matched up together to where basically they pretty much fall in love with each other. They pretty much become, an item and everything. And hold on for a sec while I do something. Hold on. All right, sorry about that, guys. That was a phone call, the matriarch and all that. Basically, we are on the verge of, like I said, the summer season. Those of you that have followed me for so long know exactly what I'm talking about. But anyway, like I said, the love match here introduced us to Big Bertha and Milton, and as you could tell, basically they fell in love, and that kind of gives you the idea. That gives you the idea, like I said, of how they were trying to portray the characters, even though they were looked at as cubs in all the interpretations. The first time, the cartoon series, and all that. They were basically, I think, from this standpoint, being aimed at that older audience of, like I said, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, and 10th at most, grade wise. I think what they were trying to do was portray them as, teenagers. They were trying to portray them as teenagers and all that. That pretty much were in high school already and all that, but you can tell they were not. But that's how they were portraying them. That's how they were portraying them. And then here we have the aforementioned, as I mentioned earlier, the Teen Rock Cafe, which I think is pretty cool. And again, to me, it really emphasizes again, them being portrayed as, teenagers and such, even though they're supposed to be cubs. And what I like about it is they basically introduce a new character, a teacher, who comes in, and basically the message in there is don't judge a book by its cover, because even though she's essentially, I think what they are, essentially basically what they are, what the teacher is like a musical musician. She's like a instrumental and all that. She's actually more into like rock at times, like rock, alternative music, all kinds of music. But her main objective at the school is to be like a musical teacher of instrumental and stuff like that. And then we have the haunted hayride and all that. And the one thing you'll be able to notice with these is the more books that get added, like with this one right here, the Wheelchair Commando. This is one of the first ones, but you can tell that the more of the back that changes with the additional more books, you could tell the year and all that. Like this is 97 and all that. This is 97. This one is 96, and then they got a list right here too, so you can keep up with them. But this one's pretty good. This one was released in time for like Halloween and such, so it's pretty cool. And the one character that really got some shine in here at times especially since she was an exclusive character to this, was Bonnie Brown. So there's that. Then we have this one. This was an earlier one as well, and you could tell just by the paper as well that it's earlier, and it's not 93 and all that. It's 93 and all that. So pretty cool. And I don't know what I just did there. Um, yeah, hold on. Yeah, I gotta get the controller here. I didn't mean for that to happen. There we go. Put that back up. I don't know why it's doing that now. Okay, sorry. Sorry about the distraction here, guys, but let's get this back organized. There we go. Sorry about that. But anyway, as I was saying, you could tell the age and everything in the background. The back of the books always kind of like give that away. So we have the red-headed thief, which is based in the book, and all that, based in the school and everything. So there we go. Just take care of something there. Then we have the school scandal sheet. This is 1990. I think what year is this one? This is 94. And this is when they tried to do their own newspaper and all that. So again, kind of gives you the idea of where they wanted to, take the characters and such, and all that. Let me just check something, okay? Just checking something, guys, making sure everything's recording after that little mishap. But yeah, this is basically creating the news own paper. So there's that. Then we got the Galloping Ghost. This one is another one from the 90s, early 90s, I should say. This one's about 94 and all that. So really nice, really kind of cool and everything, Halloween based. Then we have the Nerdy Nephew. This is the big chapter book series debut, 1993 of Actual Factual's nephew and everything, called Freddy or something like that. So yeah, basically, it's a pretty cool story, and this one did get adapted into an episode of the Berenstain Bears on PBS. Then we have Wax Museum, and this one had kind of seen the wear and tear a little bit, but this one's obviously older, and it does have from the collection of Friends of Columbia's Metropolitan Library. So that's the one thing about getting some of these books, either through eBay or whatever. I think I got some of these through eBay, not just Amazon. Some I did get through Amazon. I can't remember which one. Some through mostly eBay. But this one is 1999. Yeah, this is basically in the last year of the century, of the 90s, if you will. And this is a pretty good one, pretty cool one, and all that. And again, the one thing about these kind of things that you get is you're always going to have like labels on there to kind of tell you where it came from. So this used to be part of the collection of the Friends of Columbia's Metropolitan Library. Then here we have Manic Mansion. This one is 1996. This one takes place in the mansion of the neighbors of the neighbors of the Bear family. The neighbors are like not the Griswolds, but the Grizzlies, the Grizzlies, and the rich, very nice rich people. And that's where Bonnie comes into play because she is essentially the niece of them, and she's sent to live there with them. She's sent to live there with them at the mansion, so as to go to school because she's also a multi-talented actress and singer as well. Then we have Ghost of the Auto Graveyard as well, which is a good one. And this is 1997. The one thing about some of these titles and stories is, from a first-time book perspective, they would never be able to get away with this. So that's why these were created and such. So that's why these were created. And like I said, one of the big selling points about the story is, again, you had Bonnie in there. Now here's another copy I have of Red-Handed Thief. Like I said, I've had a multitude of, I have like doubles, if you will, and I like to have them because you never know when, you might want to have something to read. And then we have another version, another copy of Accept No Substitute. Oh, actually, this is not a copy. I don't think it is. Let me see. No, it's not. This is actually Accept. Let me double check, guys. It's just a lot I have. So, all right. So this one here, this is actually loosely based off the an episode done with the original 1980s, 1985, 86 series on CBS. The difference here is it's not the kind of substitute you've seen before and all that. The story is completely different, very loosely based and everything. But yeah, but yeah, basically the teacher, her name is Grismeyer. Her name is Grismeyer here, and they find out again. It's just like with the Teen Rock Cafe and the teacher there. It's basically don't judge a book by its cover story. So I like that. But the original one you can find on YouTube on the Berenstain Bears YouTube channel. Basically, in that one, Teacher Jane, she's the teacher. Teacher Jane, that character, she's the leader of the Cub Scouts in both interpretations, and even even the Cub Scouts big chapter books. But Teacher Jane, basically in the original animated series, was brother's teacher and sister's teacher. Believe it or not. And in the PBS version, she was the teacher for sister only and everything. So basically, long story short, in the animated cartoon, the 11-minute cartoon this is based on, in title at least, basically the teacher that comes in, because just like in the story there, you have Too Tall, you have in his gang along with brother and cousin Fred. They're gonna play some pranks on the teacher, and they do successfully do that here until they find out exactly what she's about and everything and all that, her background and everything. Find out, oh, she's actually pretty cool and everything. I didn't even know that. But basically, when they're planning all this in the original cartoon adaptation, they find out that the teacher that's subbing for them, the moment they see her, all of a sudden it's like, and Too Tall has a great line in the episode. He's like, the moment he sees her, she's like, he's like, you're a substitute? You know, that's what he said. The moment he sees this teacher subbing for Teacher Jane in the original animated series, he looks at her and is like, you're a substitute? That's what he says. He's like, Too Tall says, you're a substitute? And immediately all the guys, like the moment they see her, are smitten. All the boys are smitten. They literally develop a crush on her, fall head over heels for her, and then realize, oh yeah, we better not put the pranks. We better not, allow the pranks to happen to her, because it's like, yeah, if it was anybody else, okay, no problem. But oh my gosh, what the heck, And again, like I said, you can find the episode on the Berenstain Bears YouTube channel. Check it out if you like. And then here we have Showdown at Chainsaw Gap, if you will, which is actually pretty good as well. And this one was 1995, so really nice there. So good to have that one. This one got mixed in. This is just one of the. This is essentially a stepping stone book, but this actually I think got adapted into an episode as well. It's called Too Small for the Team, so that's a stepping stone book. I don't know why I got it in there. This one got adapted into an episode for the PBS series, but the thing is, the PBS adaptation is a lot more different. It's a lot more different than this. This is totally about getting Big Bertha on the team and letting her play football, and everything. And this was made in 1993, and basically the episode is loosely based on it, not just in title and everything, but she doesn't play on the team, but she's more like helping them out and everything. So it's kind of cool. Now this is the one that introduced Bonnie Brown. This is Bonnie Brown right here, and essentially she becomes the love interest of Brother Bear. She becomes the love interest of Brother Bear and everything. And the play that they put on, because they're both cast as Romeo and Juliet, is Romeo and Juliet, and it's able to kind of like, and it's able to basically kind of bring the Bear family and the Grizzly family back together, as well, as well as other parts of the town And then the way, again, the way you know that this is to, portray the characters as like teenagers is when they're having an after party. When they're having an after party, Queenie decides it's time for a kissing game. Post office. Basically, it's like you take the girls take the guys into the closet, and essentially they end up making out with them. So again, that's the way you can tell they were portraying the characters as teenagers instead of just regular cub characters in the series. Then here we have the Perfect Crime, almost, and this was released in 1998. And in this one, in case you guys are wondering, I didn't read this off, but this one was made in 1993. So 1998, 1993. It's pretty cool. Then we have Media Madness. This was released in 1995 and everything. Released in 1995. And this is actually pretty cool. They're trying to create their own television network for the school. And again, that kind of lets you know how they were trying to portray the students, the kids and all that, the Cubs. Then we have Queenie's Crazy Crush. This was released in 1997, and Queenie basically develops a crush on one of the new teachers, on the new art teacher, much to Tutar's chagrin. Then we have this one. This one came out in 1997 as well. This is Bermuda Triangle. This introduces Queenie's cousin Bermuda, and basically causes a rift with Bonnie, because obviously it shows that Bonnie does care about Brother more than just as a friend and everything. So, and it's actually one of the rare times where Bonnie kind of like leads the team and all that in Brother's absence. Essentially, she essentially becomes like the substitute leader of the Bear Detectives, if you will. Then here and in this one, like I said, was 97. Then here we have the Giant Ant Attack. This was released in 1996. Oh, not 1996. This was actually released in 2000. Yeah, this is the start of the new century, right around the 21st century. This came out in 2000. This is a 2001. Shows you how long it's been going. And then again, we have another copy of The Galloping Ghost, which, as I've said, came out in 1994. Then Teen Rock Cafe. This one again came out, I believe, in 1996. This one's got a little bit more wear and tear on it, but still pretty good. Still pretty good. I thought it was, at least, and everything. So, okay. And then here we have Lost in Cyberspace. This one was definitely made to tie in with going into the new millennium and all that, the 2000s and everything, even though it was made in 1999. But you could tell here that basically this was at a time that, basically they were introducing laptops into the classrooms. Now, here's what's interesting. When I was a kid, when I was in high school, even in my final year, we never had laptops in school. We had our laboratory, computer laboratory and all that, but we never had laptops. So this was basically back when the laptops were being introduced into the schools, and they were tested at that time. I think both fictionally and reality-wise, they were being tested. And I think it wasn't until about the mid 2000s, late 2000s, they started to really interpretate them and all that. Because one of the things they were talking about here was, if you don't have supervision and everything, you can get into a lot of trouble. Like if you don't have supervision, like, they allow, just like they allow students today to take the laptops home, even teachers taking laptops home as well. Back then, when they would allow them to take them home, they would allow them to take them home, and they'd be able to do whatever they want with them. Here, it's more along the lines of, and that's not here, but that's basically, like I said, what is portrayed here. Like they didn't have any rules, any restrictions, but nowadays they do. They would give you, like, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, they would give you like a password and all that, a username, password, and you'd only be able to look up stuff on there related to what you were doing school-wise and everything. And let me get some Coca-Cola here, guys. Okay, I had to get some Coca-Cola. But like I said, it would only be related to, nowadays, be only related to what you would be doing in class as a teacher or as a student. Because again, back then when they tested it out, and obviously they based this on reality, this story right here on reality. Back then, it was more along the lines of, they didn't have any restrictions. Like they trusted you to not do anything or to get into anything, and obviously, that had to be revised and everything. Then here we have another one called the Drug-Free Zone and everything, and they had a contest of rent a computer. Back then, you could tell somebody tried to do it. This came out of Cleveland, Tennessee, 8/23/95 and everything. Somebody tried to get a computer and all that. So, and this I think was in '95, probably the beginning of '95, I think. No, '93. Oh no, it does say '93. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but yeah, you could tell somebody tried to do it. A demi, if you will. Date of birth '95. '95? What? You know, I don't know. That's kind of weird. But yeah, oh, as it says, 85, 75, 85, one of the two. But yeah, basically drug-free zone. Then we have Phenom in the Family. This one came out in 2000. This is about Sister being an all-around kind of athlete, but mostly when it comes to swimming and everything. She's a good swimmer and all that. You know, so so yeah, she's a good swimmer and all that, but even though she's a good swimmer, she doesn't like to have to do it for competition. She wants to do it just for fun and all that. But it's a good story. Came out, like I said, in 2000. Then another copy of New Girl in Town, more revised copy, better paper and all that. Then we have Berenstain Bears Go Hollywood. This one came out in 1999. It's pretty cool and everything, and it's kind of a Bonnie-centric story. Then we have Giddy Grandma. This got adapted into a PBS Berenstain Bears cartoon short. You can, and that one, along with the original No Substitutes and everything, or Allow No Substitutes one, you can find on the Berenstain Bears channel. But yeah, here we have Giddy Grandma, and it's kind of basically, based in title, inspired, in title, of the same concept and everything. Then here we have Gotta Dance. This is basically 1993, and this has to relate with brother wanting to take Bonnie to one of the school dances, and the best way he could do it is to, basically take private lessons from the ballerina teacher of Sister and Bonnie's. And basically the way this happens is that brother has to take sister to the ballet class because Too Tall and his Too Tall and his gang are making fun of them, are making fun of the girls when they keep going there and all that. So brother has to help them out. And Too Tall's trying to hit on Bonnie, even though he's supposed to be with Queenie and everything. So yeah, it's an interesting, fun story. But again, it's one that kind of lets you know that yeah, they were trying to portray the characters as older than what they were and everything. Then we have another version of Accept No Substitutes, and then this one called Camp Crush. This is where basically and this was released in 1994. But this is where the students basically go to a camp. But what's interesting, and let me check this one, Gotta Dance. This one is, what year was this one? 93, okay. And what was Giddy Grandma? I just want to make sure I don't forget about anything here, guys. Hold on. 94. Okay, so 96, and this one was 93. 93 as well. But Camp Crush also, I think, came out around, I think when did this one come out? 94. But this one is interesting because all the Cubs, brother, sister, Bonnie, Lizzie Bruin, all of them, cousin Fred, they all go to summer camp. But what's interesting is not only are the instructors, some of their teachers and everything, but what's interesting and the reason for this name is that the boys and the girls are separated by camp. Yeah, Yeah, on one side you have the girls, and the other side you have the boys. And what happens is this causes the girls that are very close with the boys and everything and so on to kind of want to be together. You know, it's like those feelings that they have for each other are starting to manifest. They're starting to manifest, if you will, and they want to be with each other and all that. So again, this is another example of how you know they were portraying the kids, or the cubs, I should say, as teenagers and not just regular cub kids. Then we have G Rex Bones. G Rex Bones. This came out in 1999, and again, you could tell this was used and everything. So it's pretty cool. And then we have Go Platinum. This is an interesting story because it's more like a battle of the bands kind of deal. And again, you could kind of tell that they were trying to portray the students as teenagers, or the Cubs as teenagers and all that. And here you basically have like the older people, like the older adults, not understanding, or at least saying, "Hey, we don't understand all this, music stuff, all this band stuff," you know. And what happens and everything, what happens is essentially they have to talk. They have to talk. They basically have to go over and talk with or at least convince the teachers to the Miss Glitch, or the Miss Glitch teacher and the Mr. Honeycomb teacher and all that, to essentially let them go and do the thing. But sometimes the song lyrics are totally different. But yeah, this is another example of portraying the Cubs as teenagers. So there you go. And then we have No Guns Allowed. And when did this one come out again? When did this one come out again? Let me see. This one came out in 19. Trying to think. It says 19. Hold on, guys. Gotta take this off for a second. Let me see. Sorry, I'm trying to see here. Hold on, guys. Hold on. This came out. Hold on, guys. I'm gonna get a light on here for a second. Come on. 1998. Came out in 1998. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, that came out. This came out in 1998, the year I graduated high school. But again, that's another example of wanting to portray the kids as teenagers. And then here we have No Guns Allowed. This came out in 2000. This came out in 2000 and everything. And it's basically, a message of basically you could pretend all you want, but, you shouldn't have any kind of guns, at school, allow any kind of gun type at school. So there you go. Then we have The Big Date. This is kind of similar in vein to, a Bermuda Triangle. It's kind of a jealousy thing. This came out in 1998. And yeah, it's kind of basically like a misunderstanding with Bonnie, going off on a date with this other guy, this rich guy, and everything, who's actually wants to be more like a normal kid and everything, a normal cub or a normal teen. So yeah, basically it's one of those situations and all that. So so yeah, it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool, and brother does kind of learn a lesson of don't judge a book by its cover. And again, this one came out in 1998. And again, you have this right here from the library of Mrs. Vandergriff, so there's that. But yeah, basically, Big Date, kind of cool. And then finally, we have The Dress Code. This one is an early one. This one's an early one. This came out in 94. But what's interesting about this one is essentially it's a message of don't forget your roots and all that growing up, because the students, the Cubs, they want to dress up or want to dress their own way. They like to have their own style. Like, sometimes nowadays, or in the past several years of decade, you go to school, or you walk around, you see people dressed a certain way, kids dressed a certain way, teenagers dressed a certain way, and you're like, well, why are they dressed like that? That doesn't seem becoming of them. And that's just how they feel. That's just how they want to dress, and you shouldn't judge them for that. You shouldn't judge them for dressing a certain way and thinking, "Oh, are they dressing this way because they're like that?" No, they're dressing that way because they feel comfortable and all that. Depending on how you feel, or depending on how you look at it, it's mainly how they. It's mainly if it makes them feel good, it makes them feel comfortable. Then just let them enjoy themselves. Just let them enjoy themselves. And it's also I like the ending here as well because basically the Cubs come up with an idea of you know come up with an idea of, hey, let's try to find some old photos of the adults and let's show them, hey, you used to be the same way. And that's what they do. They show like Papa Bear doing a peace sign and everything, and all that. And then Miss um let's see then you got Miss Glitch and all that. So they're basically showing the adults, hey, this is how you were too back in the day. So yeah, pretty good. Came out like I said in '94, and again, really really enjoyed it. And overall, I do recommend if you can get your hands on these books and all that, I do recommend doing so, especially if you're a Berenstain Bears fan, because this series is worth it. This series, in my opinion, is really really worth it. It's definitely a different take. It's definitely a different take on the Berenstain Bears and all that. It's definitely a different take on them and all that, especially the Cubs. It's definitely a different take. And I highly, like I said, I highly recommend checking them out and all that down the line if you ever want to get your hands on them. Because again, there are stories that were loosely adapted into the PBS series, and one story from the original '80s series that was loosely adapted, or if not inspired into being a story here. But that's all I'm going to say, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed watching this on June 20th, because this is when it's coming out. I am filming this, like I said, on Friday the 13th. Probably one of the best opportunities I got because, again, the matriarch is out and about and everything, or at least coming back home now from their spending time with their fellow teachers because they're not going to see them for another few months. But anyway, thought I'd just come out and share this with you guys. Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section below. Like the video, ring the bell for notification, subscribe to the channel, click on the links in the description to help find my content elsewhere outside of YouTube. Love to hear from each and every one of you on that, and well as get your support, like I said, in the other areas outside of YouTube. It would really help me out in a tremendous way. Also, guys, do me a favor and check out, not check out, but yeah, but basically, guys, in closing, I will say this: I will do my best to provide more content, even with the videos that have already premiered that I've already had scheduled to premiere before this one, throughout the week of the 15th to the 21st. I'll try to get more out to coincide in the weeks to follow, and everything, because again, it is that time of year and everything to where you gotta, if you're me, you gotta find opportunities when you gotta take the opportunities when you get them to, provide, to make some content, if you will, for your channel. But anyway, though, guys, that's all I'm gonna say. And until next time, let me know what your thoughts are down below. Comment if you like. Love to hear from each and every one of you. And until then, I am out.